Okay. All right. It's 10:30. I said I was gonna go live tonight. Um, I'm gonna record it too though, and then put it on my podcast. But I need to go live because I almost forgot, man. The NBA season actually starts tomorrow, so I had to do my predictions before the season got started. My NFL predictions actually looking pretty good. The Chiefs aren't playing as well as I thought, but other than that, I enjoy the NFL predictions more just for the simple fact that in the NFL, it could be like if between 5 to 10 teams, or if let's say 5 to 8 teams, you can say A can win the Super Bowl. In the NBA, unfortunately, it's like 3 to 4. There's not as much parity in the NBA. But it starts tomorrow. Giannis gets his actual ring. LeBron starts year 19. Him and Melo, but LeBron is phenomenal. Is this the year, that he finally falls off? Like, I mean, we're talking, you know, year 19, in the NBA. But before I get into all that, I first got to say, how about them Cowboys? I don't hear anything. 5-1, looking good. Zeke's in shape. They haven't missed a beat with Michael Gallup out. Tay Diggs, I'm sorry. Trevon Diggs is playing amazing. I mean, he's playing better than his brother Stephon with the Bills. But they're looking good. The Cowboys are looking good. Found a way to win yesterday, which is always, you should like finding a way to win. It is great. Shout out to boxing. A couple weeks ago they had the Fury versus Wilder fight. Great fight. Great fight. I actually was watching it on my way back, driving back from Houston. But great fight. Boxing won that night. I'll say that. It's not. Tyson Fury won the fight, but boxing won. Wilder gained a lot more fans. Wilder showed a lot of heart. Tremendous trilogy that they had, and it's great to see, especially in boxing, two guys fighting there in their primes that are like the peak of the top of the game. Guys nowadays in boxing really don't fight like that. They avoid each other just because they can make money fighting bums. I shouldn't say bums, but they can make money fighting anybody they want to fight. All right, so before I go into my predictions for the teams, let's go straight into the MVP individual awards for this year. So I'm gonna start with, of course, the MVP. Man, this, unlike other years, like I don't think a lot of it might be me being naive, but I don't think a lot of guys even care about being MVP as much as they used to back in the day. I also don't think guys have it in them to play every single night and prove that they're the best, but that could be me being naive. But I'm gonna say the MVP this year is gonna be Kevin Durant. I think he's gonna play enough games. I think he's poised. He had a full year last year recovering from that Achilles. I think he is gonna have a phenomenal year with the Nets, and then with Kyrie out, currently, I think his numbers gonna be that much more impressive. I mean, now my dark horse guys are Luka and Trae Young. Actually, it'll depend on their record, but both those guys have the ball in their hands so much that you never know if they can sneak into the MVP conversation. It'll be based on their record, but let's say the Hawks win 55, 56 games. You can't, and Trae Young averages 28 and 9. He's going to be in the conversation. So, but I think Kevin Durant is going to lead the Nets. I think they're going to have a great year. I'm looking for him to be the MVP. Rookie of the Year, Jalen Green. Cade Cunningham will be right there as well, but I just think Jalen Green's going to have too much hype, too many nights where he puts up, some phenomenal numbers, which allows him to make the highlight reel a lot more. I think Cade's a safe pick, but I think Jalen Green, or I think Cade's a safer pick long term. But I think for this next year, the rookie year, I think Jalen Green he's gonna put up some good numbers, low shooting percentages most likely, but he's gonna have high usage, high volume. Him and Kevin Porter are gonna do some things in Houston, not win a lot of games, but they're gonna score a lot of points. My coach of the year, I'm gonna go with Nate McMillan. When he took over for the Hawks last year, they took away the interim title. I think he's poised for a breakout year with the Hawks. Always been a great coach, but I think he's going to be great this year. I mean, the Hawks, as we'll talk about here a little bit later, the Hawks are really having they're going to have a good year. I believe they're actually going to have a good year. And then we've got, let's go with, so that McMillan's my coach of the year. Steve Nash might get a few votes. Jason Kidd might even get a few votes, but I'm going with Nate McMillan for coach of the year. Defensive player of the year. I mean, is Draymond going to turn back the clock? Probably not. Rudy Gobert going to win it again? He better not. That defense ain't any good when you got to sit on the bench in the playoffs. But I think Bam Adebayo for the Heat. He's going to anchor a top 10 D. He's a big that can actually switch out and cover guards a lot like Draymond, only a lot younger. So I think he's going to be the defensive player of the year this year. Most improved, moving right along, most improved. Jordan Poole, I mean, he's primed for, especially at the beginning of the year, with Clay going to be out at the beginning, he's primed to have a breakout start of the season. Jaren Jackson, I mean, he just got extended by the Grizzlies. I think he's going to be a featured player offensively. Probably get the second most shots for the Grizz. But I'm going to go with Michael Porter Jr. I mean, he was third last year in the Most Improved award. And I think he's even going to take another step this year. I mean, Jamal Murray's out for the first at least half of the season. Joker is one of the most unselfish superstars in the game. And Michael Porter Jr. likes to score. So I think he's going to put up some big numbers, close to 22 to 25 a game. High percentages from the field, probably average 7 to 9 rebounds. He can shore up his defense and become a little bit of a facilitator. I think he's going to be the most improved player, I should say. And then I'm rolling with sixth man of the year, Jordan Clarkson. He knows his role. I mean, he's the second best shot maker that the Jazz have. Tyler Hero might, get some votes. Derrick Rose, can sneak in there and win that award. I just don't know if he'll play enough games. But Clarkson's role is defined. He knows when to check in. He knows exactly what he's going to do. By the way, that was a really funny clip of him spelling his name for the reporter in Utah, actually. But I think he will be the sixth man of the year, Jordan Clarkson. So again, MVP, Kevin Durant. Rookie of the year, Jalen Green. Coach of the year, Nate McMillan. Most improved, who did I say? Michael Porter Jr. Sixth man of the year, Jordan Clarkson. And then defensive player of the year, I'm rolling with Bam. All right, so we're 8 minutes in. Let's get to the teams. Okay, now I can sit here and go team by team analysis and all that kind of stuff, and we'll be here all night. I'm trying to keep this relatively short, so I'm not going to talk about in the East. I'm not talking about Orlando. They're not going anywhere. I'm not talking about Toronto. I don't believe they're going anywhere. I'm not talking about Cleveland. I mean, they got 3 guys that play the same position. I'm not talking about Detroit because Detroit's not going anywhere. So that's the 4 teams I'm not going to talk about over in the East. In the West, I'm not going to talk about OKC. They have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but then all they have are draft picks. I'm not going to talk about Houston. I don't think they'll be able to score, but there's no reason to sit here. They're not going to the playoffs. I'm not going to talk about the Kings because, hey, they're the Kings. They'll find a way to mess up. I'm not going to talk about Minnesota. I think the Minnesota's going to probably win 20 games, as they always do. I'm really not going to dive into San Antonio, even though I think they might be like pushing the 10th seed is for the play-in. But I think Popovich is going to finally let the young guys play. I think this will be his last year too. I think he's going to set the all-time record, and he's going to be out of here. So those are teams I'm really not going to talk about, so we can keep it moving again. All right, so starting the East. This is no particular order of how they're going to finish. This is just the teams I think they're going to make the playoffs. Okay, and because I think one in the NBA, I don't think some teams even care about their their record. I think they care about their seeding, meaning who they play in the first round. Like, the Lakers might want to avoid a certain team, so instead of even trying to get the 1 seed or the 2 seed, they intentionally lose, so they avoid a team. You understand what I'm saying? So that's I think that's a new way of NBA, because unlike, I don't know how it is in football, I don't know the statistics. But the NBA, it's not like your winning percentage is like through the roof anymore. In the last few years, like, guys can't win on the road. All right, but in the East, Brooklyn, I mean, of course, they're going to be in playoffs, barring major catastrophic injuries. I mean, just with Harden and KD, they're lethal as heck. Now, yes, Kyrie's not playing right now. My thoughts about that, that's his business. I don't even think would we even be having this conversation if he played in Texas, if he played for the Rockets, or if he played for the Mavs, for that matter? No, it's the fact that he plays for the Brooklyn Nets that he's not able to play. So that's his business. I am proud, I should say, of him for standing by his principles, and whatever they are. I mean, everybody's different, and then also the Nets for not letting him be a part-time player. Like, that's difficult to do, but what's best for the team is best for the team. So I'm actually, both guys, I mean, the team and then Kyrie, do what you feel is best for you. Now, I think with Kyrie, he's just like a mercenary for that squad. He just takes them over the top. Like, you got 3 of the top, arguably 10 talents in the game, all in one squad, and with the ability to share the ball. And ability to take over at any time. But I think Brooklyn, they'll be in the playoffs. I've heard enough about them. Blake Griffin's going to have a good year. He'll play a solid role. He might turn back the clock every now and then for them. You got Joe Harris, can knock down shots. And then he brought over Marcus Aldridge, which will probably play that 6th man of the year role. So, man, you're looking at, Brooklyn's going to be tough. As long as they stay healthy, they're going to be tough. The Bucks, in all reality, all right, so we got Brooklyn. I'm not saying they're the first seed. I'm just saying they're the first one I'm talking about in the East. All right, the Bucks. Like, they got their title. So, what's up, Marcus? They got their title, so is it really a concern this year to win one? Like, Giannis has got that pressure off of him now. And he looks deadly this preseason, knocking down jump shots. But like, I think they're contenders, but I don't think they're like pressed to repeat. I think ownership, I think the GM, I think most of the players just are happy they got a title. We'll see. I think Chris Middleton proved in that playoff run that he's legit half court. You need a half court guy that can get a bucket, and that's what Middleton did during that stretch run. I think that Holiday proved his value with the trade that they made for Bledsoe last year and his play in the playoffs, especially with that big steal he had against Devin Booker in the finals. I think they're going to miss P.J. Tucker, though, come playoff time. Will they repeat? No. Do they care if they repeat? No. I actually don't think that they do. So we got Bucks and Brooklyn so far. Miami, of course, Miami's going to be in the playoffs this year. I mean, they brought over Kyle Lowry. I think he's going to provide some veteran leadership for this squad. They really don't need the veteran leadership, but they need I think a better point guard play. I think he's an upgrade over what they had last year. How much more improvement can he get out of Jimmy Butler? Probably not. He is who he is. Tyler Hero needs a bounce back year. He didn't play very well last year. And then Bam, I think Bam is going to be the key to them. I think he might be their go-to guy offensively and their anchor defensively. So The Heat, I think they're going to be right there in the mix. Not on the Nets and I wouldn't say the Nets, even Bucks or even Hawks level, but they're right there. I'd say they're a top four team. Atlanta. I think the run they made last year is just building their confidence tremendously. They almost look like, tell me if I'm wrong, anybody that's watching, even leave a comment after you watch it later on. They're almost built similar to like the Warriors before the Warriors became a dynasty. So like Trey plays a Curry role, Bogdanovich or Huter's trying to play like the Clay role. Harrison Barnes is being played by Hunter. And then the rest fall into place. John Collins is a little like a way more athletic version, of course, than Draymond. But the style they play is very similar. Their confidence high from that run that they made last year. So I'm looking at the Hawks to make a statement again this year. New York, I know everybody's geeked about the Knicks and like the Knicks are back, but they're still in the second tier of teams in the Eastern playoffs, but you'll make the playoffs this year. I mean, if you're expecting Kemba to be Kemba from 5 years ago, you lost your mind. But I think he'll provide some stability at the point guard position because when Derrick Rose wasn't in the game, if you watched the Knicks last year, like they started Elfrid Payton at the one. I hate to say NBA player is terrible because he cooked me, but I don't think he's a starting quality guard in the NBA. I'll say that. I think Randall has been playing out of his mind. Of course, as a gym rat, has been working so hard. But I still think they'll be a second round exit. I mean, early second round exit. I don't think they're gonna. They might win a first round series, but that's really it. I don't know. Evan Fournier can go off on some nights, but I don't know, man. Tom Thibodeau really just, offensively, this grind to a halt too often, and then they became very, very predictable in the playoffs. And that's the thing with NBA is the whole first, game one, they're going to play hard tomorrow night. They'll play hard Christmas Day. They'll play hard on MLK when they do the showcase. And then they don't play hard until the freaking playoffs. So that's the thing about the NBA is once teams make adjustments, I think Thibodeau's teams start to struggle. And that's what they did against the Hawks last year. But hopefully they've grown and made some strides. But I think the Knicks will be in the playoffs. Philadelphia is next. I mean, I don't know what they got going on with Ben Simmons. His stock is at an all-time low. Look, Embiid is a generational talent. Everybody's got to know that. He just can't stay healthy. If he get himself in some elite shape in the summertime, maybe drop some weight off those knees, off those feet, he might be a better player, but we don't know. I know one thing, that Ben Simmons is basically, he's just a glorified role player. Like, don't kill the messenger. But it's crazy that, here's the problem I have with GMs maxing out guys that are not guys that can score. Every team needs guys that can get a bucket. You saw in the playoffs last year, Simmons struggled because he can't score a lick. Rudy Gobert was on the bench when they're playing the Jazz. No, they're playing the Clippers because he can't score outside of 2 feet. So, you stop maxing guys out that can't get a bucket. Like, at the end of the day, the game's about a bucket, not a guy that can pass it to a guy that can pass it to a guy that can pass it to a guy that can get a shot. But a guy can get a half-court set and say, go get me one. Like, we need one right here. So I think Philly is at a crossroads because a lot of their money is tied into Ben Simmons. What kind of value can you get back? Not a lot right now. He's gifted, but I really don't believe that he. I think he loves the NBA life, not playing, not basketball. Meaning all the perks that comes with being an NBA player, I think he enjoys. But the day-to-day work on your game, I don't think he has it. Just look at him and Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball has rebuilt his shot in the past 2.5 years, completely from the ground up. So much so now that he's looking like he ought to be a 38 to 40% three-point shooter with high volume, 7 to 8 a game. And Ben Simmons still can't hit a shot out the paint. So, I don't know, man. They'll make the playoffs because they have Embiid and he's just so dominant. And Doc, you know, in the regular season, he's a great coach. He's not gonna make adjustments in the playoffs, but in the regular season, they'll be there. And Tyrese Maxey, I'm looking forward to watching him. That's a Dallas kid, actually. I think he's gonna have a breakout year. Actually, I think they're gonna put the ball in his hands and see what he can do. And then we got Chicago. So where am I at now? Let me see how many teams I'm at. I don't want to get too many. What's that? Brooklyn, Bucks 2, Miami 3, Atlanta 4, New York 5, Philadelphia 6. All right, so here's my play-in teams. So I think the Bulls will be in a 7 seed probably, but they'll be a play-in team. They'll be fun to watch though. I mean, Lonzo is the generational passer of the basketball. I think he's finally coming into his own of who he wants to be offensively, and even into his own man. So hopefully he can ascend. I mean, can Lonzo be an all-star? I mean, there's so much pressure on him when he went to the Lakers. I mean, Magic even saying his numbers going to be in the rafters, and I think so many people like lost hope on him, but he's still young. He's only 23 years old. I think he can continue to get better, and you can clearly tell that he works on his game. That's important, to work on your game. I think Zach LaVine is going to average almost 30. DeMar is going to get his, and then they still got Vucevic like sitting there at the high post. Like they're going to be tough. Now if Billy Donovan can get them to play defense, they'll be legit. But all in all, the Bulls are on the rise, man. They're gonna be a fun team to watch this year. Boston, I mean, you've got 2 bona fide alpha scorers in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But outside of that, like, who's your point guard? We don't know yet. Marcus Smart's can get the first crack. Pritchard, he's not the answer. Schroeder proved last year that when it gets tight, he can't perform. He didn't perform well for the Lakers. So, but I think those 2, Brown and Tatum, at least get you in the playoffs. At least in the playoffs. I mean, they should, right? My biggest thing with Boston is not even their players. It's the fact that Brad Stevens, like I said on a live like 5 or 6 months ago, how the heck does Brad Stevens get fired and do a bad job and get promoted? But then again, about 4 years ago, Dwayne Casey wins, or 5 years, whenever it was, Dwayne Casey wins Coach of the Year and gets fired. So that's my big thing with the Celtics. I mean, I think they'll be a playoff contending team, but they're not going to make any noise. The last 2 I have are Indiana and Charlotte. I think you could. I mean, part of me wants to put Washington in there, but I don't think they're going to play enough defense to get there. I'm putting Charlotte because LaMelo's fun to watch. Actually, he's fun. He's just fun to watch. And I think, with the Pacers, you know what you're getting out of Sabonis and Brogdon and all those guys. So those are my top 10, well, my 7 through 10, which is like the Bulls, Indiana, Charlotte, and Boston. I think those are my play-in teams. All right, let's go out west. We're at 23 minutes. Let me hurry up. So we're out west. Lake Show, baby. You see I got the hat on. You see I got Kobe right behind me. Like, the only question about the Lakers is health and space. That's it. Health and space. Like, Westbrook really, I don't think he spent one summer perfecting the jump shot. So how is that going to be? How are they going to be able to mold together? With LeBron always predominantly having the ball in his hands, well, Westbrook spotting up in the corner, no one's going to go guard that, which clogs the lanes for AD, Howard, and Jordan. So that's my thing with the Lakers. But I think all in all, if they're healthy, they're going to be tough to beat unless LeBron shows that in year 19 he finally hits a wall. I think the key for LA though, the big key is going to be the health of Anthony Davis. Like you're not in your upper 30s. You're not LeBron. You're not Melo. You're not even 30 yet. So like you should lead the way. You should be a dominant force that you can be. It's just I think you had a down year last year, but the Lakers are going to be right there. Phoenix, I mean. They had it last year. Had their chance. I think CP3 had his best chance last year. I think his ascension, I think Devin Booker's ascension to a top talent was there. I think DeAndre Ayton had a great year. I think he's pissed, though, because they didn't max him out. And they maxed out, not max out, but they gave Bridges, and then who else they give some money to today? Man, I forgot his name. Oh, that's what was coming in. They gave somebody else some money today, like $40 million. Forgot who it was. But Monty Williams can coach. We got to just see if they're disrespected. Does DeAndre Ayton not play as well as he played last year because he feels disrespected? You got to think about it. Luka, this is all the same draft class. Luka, Trey, Michael Porter Jr., Jaren Jackson. Who else in that class? That's Mikal Bridges. Like, these guys have already been paid. DeAndre Ayton was number 1. He didn't get a max contract offered to him. Number 3, was it? Jaren Jackson was 4. I think Luka and Trey were traded for each other. They've all got big contracts. Heck, Luka and them is almost $200 million. So I think the play of the Suns will be predicated on the fact that how disrespected does DeAndre Ayton feel. Booker's gonna get it done, and the health of Chris Paul. Like, he stayed healthy basically off last year. Boy, changed his diet, changed his body up. But how much longer does he last? He's a small guard, so how much longer can he last playing dominant basketball? Utah being the playoffs, heck, they might even get the 1 seed, but they're not gonna do anything in the playoffs. Utah, when you play in the half-court game in the playoffs, remind me a lot of Philly. You're playing 4 and 5. No one's guarding Rudy Gobert. So, but you maxed him out. Quinn Snyder can coach. Jordan Clarkson is my 6th man of the year. Give you 29. Donovan Mitchell is a dominant, great scorer in the NBA and a great facilitator as well. Ingles knows his role. Mike Conley knows it. These guys know what they're doing. The issue is you gave somebody $200 million that can't score outside of 5 feet. Nobody wants to have that conversation. Like, Rudy Gobert, you're better on the bench against the Clippers than you were playing. And that sucks. Like, you can't have a guy making that kind of money not be able to score. So I just talked about the Suns. Who would you rather have, Ayton or Gobert? Like, seriously, who would you rather have? Like, I'm just not a fan of giving somebody that kind of money that can't score without somebody throwing a lob to them. Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense. All right, Denver, playoffs. I'm not going to keep you long with them. They'll be in the playoffs. They're going to miss Jamal Murray starting. He's a reigning MVP. He'll give you 25, 10, and 7 this year. Michael Porter Jr. is my predicted most improved player. He's going to drop 25 a night as an alpha lead role, at least until Murray comes back. I honestly think, too, this might be the last run for Mike Malone if he doesn't get it done. They need a deep playoff run, Western Conference Finals Game 7, or I think he's going to be fired. Like Coach Bud over at Milwaukee. Like, think about it. They get knocked out the first round last year. He's out of a job. NBA game, like, not the game, but the NBA, like, life cycle is so fast. Like, you're thinking the coach is great, and then he's fired 3 years later, and he's only fired, like, take Coach Bud. KD's shoe size is 13, like me, and not a 15, I think that he wears, or 16. Coach Bud has probably been fired. But no, KD's foot was too big. He makes a 2, not a 3. Bucks going to win the finals, and now Coach Bud is like some great coach. Like, no, it's situational. A lot of this stuff is situational, and it goes quick, right? So Mike Malone, as great of a coach he is, if they have an early exit, he could be out. Golden State, come on now. Curry's balling. Last year, he killed it. He's by midseason, he'll be setting the all-time record for most three-pointers in a career. I think they can't wait to get Clay back. I am curious to see how Clay plays. Like, is he like Clay from 2 or 3 years, or 3 years ago almost now, where he was the probably the best two-way player two-way guard in the NBA. How does Draymond shoot the ball this year is a big question mark. What are they going to do with Wiseman? He kind of doesn't fit their timeline because he's like 2021 and Curry and them are over 30. So do you package him and trade him to get a ready-made asset, or are you patient with him and tell him, hey, do rim runs, dunk, rebound, blah blah blah. We'll take care of everything else. It'd be interesting to see what the Warriors do this year, but I know they'll make the playoffs. Rounding my top 6, it's gonna be Dallas. I think the new voice of Jason Kidd is gonna help. I think he'll find some balance between Luka and Porzingis. Luka's gonna be the MVP running. My big concern is your third best player is Tim Hardaway Jr. I got questions. Because if you think of the other teams that are just named, especially in the West, like third best player on the Lakers is, let's say it's Westbrook. He's better than Tim Hardaway Jr. Phoenix, Ayton. He's better than Tim Hardaway Jr. Utah, Dallas might have it. Denver, once Jamal Murray gets back, then you're looking at Denver. So that's my issue with the Mavs is Tim Hardaway's your third best player. But you know what? One thing that we've learned, especially with the Olympics this past summer and just Luka in general, is that he doesn't mind carrying a heavy load and gets it done. Like Luka gets it done. So I think those are the top 6 that'll be in the playoffs. And then your play-ins, I think Portland, I think it's time to reset that. Dame's being loyal as heck. But Chauncey Billups, you don't have a roster that's going to contend. Dame is making big money, so you really can't build around that. I think they make the play-in tournament just because of Dame's brilliance, but I just don't see. I mean, you've maxed out with what C.J. McCollum can make or can bring to the table. You already know how he can play. Portland, I think, is just done in that aspect. Clippers, I think they're going to hang around and make the playoffs, the play-in, but they're going to really miss Kawhi Leonard. I think Paul George is going to turn into like Paul George from the Pacer days and just be the alpha dog on the team. My question for them is, like, how great is Reggie Jackson going to play for a whole season? This is where I was talking about a few minutes ago when I said the NBA game is so fast. Like situations happen, injuries happen, change in leadership, change in management, change in rosters. Like 2 years ago, everybody predicted the Clippers to be in the finals. And right now, I think their whole title window is gone. Like it's over. There's not a chance in the world that the Clippers will win a title this coming season or next season. Ibaka's getting older. I just don't see it. Like it's a wrap. That's how quick it is though. Like it happens fast. All right, but Paul George is going to have a great game. They're going to miss Kawhi Leonard for 55 to 60 games because that's all he's good for anyway per season. It's not like he's going to play more than 60 anyway. So we'll see when he comes back. Great talent, just doesn't like to play all the time. Memphis, I think Ja Morant is going to become an all-star this year. They've traded for Steven Adams. And Jaren Jackson's he got extended, so I think he's going to be more of a featured player for the team. And they're going to grind it out, that grit and grind style, play hard. I think they'll be right there. And then my 10th spot, I could go with the Kings, but they're the Kings. I could go with the Spurs because Popovich can coach. But I'm going with the Pelicans. Now, what the hell are they doing with Zion? Like, you have Zion and you have Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram was the second pick in the draft like 5 years ago by the Lakers. He can play. Let him play. I personally, this is going against what everybody else probably says on TV, but like you can't like completely just bow down to Zion. Like by the end of last year, y'all, they had him playing point guard. And that's why I think they let Lonzo walk. Like, he's not a point. He's not Luka. Like, come on. Zion, stop saying you're unhappy. Stop having your team say you're unhappy. And get in shape. Get in shape. Be ready to play. You already have a surgery on your foot because you're overweight. You're big as heck, and an NBA game now. Like, you can't even keep up anymore, man. So, my opinion, stop looking for reasons to get out, because if you're portrayed as great as you are, this is basketball. One guy can make that big of a difference. You develop an outside shot, but I'm not gonna get on Zion. He's a young man, phenomenal talent. It's just like, man, like, get healthy, get in shape, stay healthy. All right, so that's my playoff teams. I gave you all my MVPs, all that stuff tonight. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, my NFL picks are pretty good so far. So see how I do in the NBA. I'll check back at the trading deadline. And remember, all this is based on the fact that guys don't get hurt. So this all goes to crap. It's because guys got hurt, in my opinion. All right, but enjoy it, man. Tomorrow starts the 75th season of the NBA, so it should be fun when the playoffs start. The beginning of the year is always boring, but I'll be back at the trading deadline to discuss it. And as of right now, I got Lakers versus the Nets in the finals, and imagine the ratings of that. Like, the Lakers have 5 Hall of Famers on their squad, and the Nets have 4. Like, Aldridge is going to be a Hall of Famer. So you think about it. The Lakers have 5, maybe 6 Hall of Famers on one team, and the Nets have 4. Like, if everybody stays healthy, that's going to be the finals. And I'm not going to tell you who's going yet, but that's going to be epic. But until next time, I'm out of here. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay blessed out there, people. Keep it safe. Peace.